Sometimes just blink and you might miss it when you close your eyes. It's been a while since we kicked it, but the answer's on her lips tonight.
Hello everyone, it's Rylie Cook, aka the OneWheel Realtor here, and as you saw from that intro footage, it's just rainy and gray and nasty outside. So we're going to do today's video inside in the nice warm comfort of my condo. So the topic of today's video, what does the home buying process look like from start to finish? And this is actually a question that a lot of first-time buyers have, and it can actually potentially stop them from entering in the market just from fear of the unknown, and that ultimately doesn't help you at all. So the way you solve these issues is by getting informed. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about everything that you need to know from step one all the way till the end when you're celebrating and you got that bottle of champagne. So the first step in the home buying process is get a mortgage pre-approval. This simple step can actually save you a ton of heartbreak and give you a really good idea of what you're actually qualified for and what the banks are willing to give you for a mortgage. And we're going to go into more in depth in our next video about how to get a mortgage pre-approval with my mother, Sally, who used to be a mortgage specialist, and she's gonna break down for you everything that you need to know to get that mortgage pre-approval. The second step in the home buying process is to organize your deposit funds. You wanna have this done before you even start looking at a property, because if you do find a place that you absolutely love, you wanna have those funds readily available so that you can act on that property. You don't wanna have to be transferring money around at the last minute, which could potentially lose you a deal just from you not having funds available. So these can come from things like your line of credit, your bank of mom and dad, any cash savings that you have. So step number 3 is that you're gonna review the listings daily. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up a home watch profile for you. And what this home watch profile is basically a specified search criteria that only sends you properties that match exactly what you're looking for. And this can be very, very helpful because there's a lot of properties in Toronto, especially when you're in a big city like this. There's a lot of potential properties that you could put your money into. And so we want to narrow this down as much as possible for things that work for your bedroom requirements, your price range, and the location that you want to be in. And this comes into step number 4, in that you need to send us the MLS numbers for the properties that you are interested in. And this will allow us to get an idea of properties that you like. So we can kind of, again, refine that search more throughout the process so that we're saying, okay, I think this property might work best for you, or this property. So this brings us to step number 5, in that once we've figured out what properties that you actually like, we're gonna go on showings. And this is the fun part where we get to go and explore the city together. We get to see other people's houses, and we get to see a potential new home for you. And this can be a very exciting process, again, if you're informed about what you're looking at. If you're just trying to see everything underneath the sun, you're gonna get overwhelmed. And once you see 6 properties in a day, your brain starts to fry. You can't remember which ones you've seen. So we wanna really narrow this down as much as possible while giving you a general idea of what is out there so that you can make an informed and conscious decision when you do go to ultimately purchase your home. So this brings us to step number 6, in that we're gonna try and find your ideal home. And this could be the first property that we go out and see, or it could be the 51st property that we go and see. And that length of time can really vary depending on you and your circumstances, but the main thing is that we don't want you to feel rushed during this process. As I mentioned earlier, this is potentially the biggest investment that you're ever going to make in your life. And you want to be comfortable with it, and you want to say, okay, I actually like this home, and it takes off as many of those boxes as possible. And this brings us to step number 7. And this is where we actually figure out the strategy that we're going to go in for that offer on the property that you love. And this can change drastically from property to property, depending on whether they're holding off on multiple offers or not. But what we'll do is we'll formulate a strategy A and a strategy B, so that if you truly love that home, we've got multiple avenues to try and get it for you. And we're gonna, again, make sure that you're totally comfortable with this process and make sure that you know how many offers you're up against if we're in multiple offers. What is the process when we do go into multiple offers? And this is something that we're gonna cover more in depth in a future video. And we're also going to talk about potential incentives that you can give to a seller that might make your offer a bit more appetizing to them, that can put you above the rest of the competition. So now that we've talked about offer strategy, we need to get the bank draft ready. So this is where you're gonna head to the bank the day of the offer and go and get a bank draft for the deposit amount that we're gonna need for that transaction. So now that we've gone through the offer presentation, this brings us to step number 9, in that your offer is accepted. Woohoo, good job. But it's not over yet. The process is not over. We are almost there, but we've got a couple more steps till we truly finish off the transaction and you can finish moving into your home. So what we'll do is we'll send the paperwork to your lender so that they can start working on all your mortgage commitment details. And we'll cover everything for you here. You just have to supply your mortgage broker details to us. And this will allow us to go into our next step, which is waiving any conditions and signing off on them to make your deal firm. So say you have a financing condition and a status certificate condition for a condo. We are going to make sure that we waive those conditions, because if we don't have a legally binding offer, since they are conditional upon us removing said conditions. So this brings us to step number 11, in that you need to pick a lawyer. And you need to pick a lawyer because we need to send all of this paperwork to someone to actually close these deals. The 2 lawyers get together and they'll exchange the keys near the end of the transaction, and then you'll ultimately meet with your lawyer to go and get these keys. And now that you've done all these steps, you actually get to sign your mortgage commitment. So your lender is going to bring you in. They're going to go over all of the details pertaining to your mortgage commitment and make sure that you're comfortable with it, and then you're going to sign off on it so that the bank can actually give you money. Yay! Now that you've signed this mortgage commitment, this brings us to step number 13, in that you get to go to your lawyer and sign all the final documents that make that property transition from being theirs to yours. And this is a very, very exciting step. And again, your lawyer will walk you through this process and make sure that you're comfortable with everything that you're getting into. If there's any details that you need to know about the condo corporation, anything like that, they'll make you aware of this before you sign all those papers. And number 14, this is the final visit to your home. And typically we'll do 2 visits before closing. And this will allow us to have one visit to just kind of go and check out the property that you bought, and you can see, hey, this is going to be my home, start doing measurements and stuff like that. And then we typically use the second visit in the last week before closing to go and check that all appliances are working and are in good condition. We've had it happen where we've gone and tested a dishwasher and it flooded the kitchen. It flooded everywhere. But because we tested that before closing, the seller was responsible for fixing everything. And this is something that you'd be in for a very, very big surprise if you got into that brand new home and you turned on your dishwasher and it just flooded everywhere. That would suck, and you don't want to be paying for that cost since it wasn't your issue, not yet anyways. So we're going to make sure that when we go on these visits, we make sure that the home is in as good of a condition as possible and up to the standards that we've required in the offer. And whew, we're getting there. We're getting there. So number 15, you're going to go to your lawyer again, and he's going to give you the keys. And this is usually on the day of closing, sometimes the day before if they're very, very ahead of schedule, sometimes the day after if the seller's a little bit slow moving out. But you'll go to your lawyer and they will give you your keys for your new home. And now it's time to start celebrating. Woohoo! You're a homeowner. What? Yeah. So now you're there. You are a homeowner. And this process can look kind of intimidating from start. But once you get to the end and you've made yourself informed, it's actually not too bad. It's a little bit stressful when you're signing your mortgage commitment, because that's a lot of money. But again, you've taken all the steps to make sure that your home buying process is as smooth and informed as possible so that you feel comfortable in that home that you've paid X amount of dollars for. So that's today's video. That is the home buying process. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it in the section below, and I'll be sure to get to you in either a future video or I'll respond in the comments. See ya.